All right. All I had said so far was I just wanted to keep everyone's attention that we are focusing on mid-tribulation events. They are all lateral. These are not progressive chapters. These are all describing things that will happen within the time frame designated as the mid-tribulation period. So, we're on chapters 12 and 13 this week. And let's start at chapter 12. Now, this chapter 12 is basically a story. I mean, the whole Bible is a story, but this particularly is a story of tribulation. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. If I can get the right chapter. If I get the right chapter. 12. There it is. And I'll be reading out of the King James. And here we go. Verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time reading. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them down to earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God, and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her, and there 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, that ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth waters as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. That was only 17 verses. 17 long verses. All right, let's get into it. Let's see. First, don't do that. All right, 12. I combined 1 and 2. It's basically a sign of symbology. I want everyone to pay attention and look at the words. There appeared in heaven a great wonder. If you switch over to the American Standard Version, it calls it a sign. Okay? This is not an actual thing that happens. This is symbolic of something that has happened. This basically tells a story that's both somewhat already past. It's almost like the entire church age plus the Gentile age. I'm sorry, the Jew age and the Gentile age. I'm going to get a little ahead of myself here. Let's just focus on one thing at a time, okay? The woman. It says, there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Who in here can tell me what the woman is? No. Catholics would love to tell you that it is, though. Of course, then again, they don't believe in Revelation, so it's okay. And it's not uncommon, because we think of a woman giving birth, it only makes sense, you know. In order to get the answer for this question, you would have to go back to Genesis 37, 5 and 10. 5 through 10. What it talks about is Jacob. Wait. No, not Jacob. Joseph, sorry. Joseph had dreams, right? And you know what, just for the sake of it, I'm going to go ahead and read it to you guys. It's Genesis chapter 37, verses 5 through 10. Joseph's having a dream, okay? It says, and Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet more. And he said unto them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf, to be obedient. And his brethren said unto him, shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed another dream, and told it to his brethren, and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him, and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? Just catch the comparison. You have a woman. She's arrayed in light. And he said, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance. So the sun would be, let's see, and Joseph's father was Jacob. Who's Jacob? Who was Jacob's father? Really? 3 most common names uttered in the Bible? Back to back? The God of his father would be Isaac. Who's Isaac's father? Abraham. Okay? This is where our lineage is. What did God promise Abraham? I will make you a mighty nation. Your descendants will be as the stars of the sky, as the sands of the beach. They will be numerous. That's where Joseph is the fourth. The father of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. That's who we are. That's who we're talking about here, okay? So, his father, when he told it to his father rebukes him. Jacob. Jacob knows the promise of God to him. The covenant he made with Abraham went to him as well. He knows it all too well. So you have his son telling him, now, it does not mean that his mother and father would bow down to him. But Jacob, you'd think Jacob, his name has been spoken in the Bible almost as many times as Jesus, I would imagine. Pretty close, you know. Right up there with Paul, I'm going to guess, you know. Just because of the father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That, I don't know how many times I've heard that phrase in my lifetime. Thousands of times, I would imagine. But he saw the sun and the moon and the 11 stars. Now, what does the seed of Abraham become? What does the seed of Abraham signify? His seed. God said, I will make your seed Israel. Israel is the seed of Abraham. Okay? So you have the sun in his dream. Just saw the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars. So he's not the woman. He's the 12th star. So what is the woman? Be Israel. The sun would be Abraham. The moon would be his wife. And then the 12 stars would be their offspring. And the result of that is the woman. Israel is often referred to as the bride of Christ. Israel is female by biblical description. And that's basically where you get it. So, let's go back to Revelation. 12 tribes of Israel. Now in his dream, because he did not count himself, which is why there's 11. So you see, everything adds up. Even Einsteins couldn't get this one right. Right? No way they had that kind of foresight. They'd have written the whole Bible and sit there and spend like 100 years just making corrections, making sure there was no errors. It's not possible. So, there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and upon her head, a crown of 12 stars. It's literally a symbol of Israel. That's all it's meant to be at this point. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. What did Israel have to go through to bring about the Christ? Israel was exiled from their lands, conquered by Babylon, scattered across the world, brought back together, and scattered again. Now, the second scattering was, after Christ. But look at everything that happened up to Christ. Everything up to the entire the Old Testament, is literally, with the woman in travail, is the story of the entire Old Testament. From Adam right up to Matthew, the book of Matthew. That's what it is. All the hell Israel went through to become what it ended up being, up to that point, before Rome took over, basically. And that is, she's with child. Christ came from Israel. He was a Jew. He was a Hebrew. So, and it was travailing in birth. And at this point, we're still before Christ, though. So, Israel, the woman, travailing in birth, she has labor pains. She's going through all kinds of crap to get to the point where she can deliver the child. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. Now, we've already covered in Daniel 7, the interpretation of his dreams. We've covered that, I think, twice already. It seems like we continuously end up going back to Daniel. So, for sake of time and the fact that we've covered it before, I'm not going to go through Daniel a third time. But if you guys want to look it up on your own or just make a note, it is referring to the dream that Daniel had in Daniel 7. So, we've covered it before, so I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. You have the dragon being the embodiment of Satan. Okay? Has 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns. So, each of the 7 heads is basically signifying the 7 kings. You have the 10 horns. The 10 horns are the 10 kingdoms. And then you have the 7 crowns upon his heads, because kingly authority is given to the 7 heads. Now, because of what we've read over in Daniel, we know there originally were 10, but after the desecration of the temple, 3 of them will be destroyed, which is where you get the 7 from. In verse 4, it says, his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. Okay? How many times so far have we had a star fall? And when a star fell, what was it? Come on. A fallen star is also a fallen angel. So when you read in verse 4, and his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, it's talking about when Satan fell. He took 1/3 of the angels with him. 1/3 of God's heavenly host fell to earth. And that's literally the army. I mean, honestly, Satan doesn't have a prayer. If he had the entire heavenly host against God, he wouldn't have a prayer. Let alone only 1/3. Honestly, I can't really figure out what kind of arrogance or pride Satan really has. I think he actually has a shot. He has to know he doesn't, but he's going to try anyway. Which, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. He's crazy. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was